All right. So this is the actual document we're going to take a look at, and it does say, here's our procedure, if you will. And within the procedure, it does indicate the things that we have to do. So you're supposed to technically come up with two different puzzle cube designs. One design should be easy to solve, okay, and the other should be a little more difficult. You'll need a total of two solutions with 10 unique parts. So 5 parts for one solution and 5 different parts for the other solution. It says for each design, neatly sketch and color code an isometric view of each of the 5 component parts and how they fit together. Now I'm going to show you how we do that because it's not super easy to do on paper, but we have a little bit of a process that you're going to go through. There is some stuff at the bottom I want everybody to look at as I read you these. They're in bold red text. And there are 2 rules here. So if you're doing the first design, it says this: 4 of the 5 pieces need to go through all 3 layers. Now you don't know what I'm talking about with layers, and I'm going to show you that, okay? For the other puzzle, the more difficult one, it says all 5 of the pieces need to go through all 3 layers. So what does this look like as a final product, right? So what I'm going to do before we go any further, and I do a little sketching for you, I want to show you some students' notebooks, okay? And then I'll show you how to do what they did. So now this is Gabby's notebook that we're going to look at, and they did the puzzle cube eventually. So how do you get started with it, I think, is the question that most people would have for me, and that's where I'm going to show you how this actually works out. So in order to get this to kind of where Gabby had hers, is we need to draw the layers first, okay? Now in each layer, just so everybody's aware, each layer has a total of 9 blocks, and there are 3 layers, so if you do the math, 9 times 3 is 27. So those are your 27 cubes, okay? So what I'm going to do is just to start off things here is I need to actually draw those layers. So let me zoom in a little bit here just so you guys can see. It used to be you could actually just zoom, but these cameras don't work that way. They're actually pretty poor excuse for a camera. All right, so I'm going to draw my first layer. So the way that works is it encompasses a total of 9 blocks. So it looks something like this, all right? So I do that, and that's going to have my 9 blocks. Now I need to make sure that I draw over all the lines within that particular shape. So it looks something like this. So there are 9 blocks in the top layer, if you count them, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's your 9 blocks. All right, so then I'm going to draw a layer under that. Do not connect them, okay? Keep them separate. So I'm going to draw my middle layer exactly like I drew this layer here, okay? And again, connecting the blocks like so, so that I have an additional 9 blocks. And finally, we'll move this up a little bit. I'm going to draw my final layer at the bottom, so you can see how that's done. Okay, there we go. There we go. So I got 27 pieces now, right? 9, 9, and 9. Now, you've got to start figuring out how you want your pieces to fit into your puzzle cube. So what I do is to get students rolling, to kind of identify a piece that might make sense in terms of how it might fit into the puzzle cube, I do the steps. So the steps, we've seen those in 2 separate puzzle cubes. So I'm going to grab this one here because that's my steps. Now in my puzzle that I designed years ago, it's the yellow piece. In this puzzle, it's the black piece. but you can see it has a total of 6 blocks. Okay? And so what I'm going to do is just draw that and fit that into the matrix over here. That's what you call this thing. So I'm going to draw this just like I show it. And so I'm going to make it look like this. Just like that. And it looks like a set of steps. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and make sure I connect all those boxes so you can see the blocks. Everybody see that's what it looks like? Yes? Everybody kind of understand that concept? There's the piece, okay? Now, how does that fit into my matrix if this is the black piece? So what I'm going to do is there's blue and there's black, unfortunately. And they both start with the same letter. And you're probably like, why don't you just color it in, Mr. V? Just color it in. Wouldn't that make more sense? You can't do that right off the bat. You actually have to make sure that you've established the pieces before you color this in. Do not jump the gun. I'm warning everybody. Do not jump the gun and start coloring pieces in until you are 1,000% sure that they all fit together and they meet the requirements. Okay? So for the black piece, I'm going to use BK. Okay? Blue, I use BL. BL is blue. So for black, I'm just going to mark these as black. So this is going to be BK. Okay? That's where the first piece is going to be. So everybody look. This first block here represents this block right here. Okay? That's in the top layer. In the next layer down, okay, I have 2 black pieces. Okay, so those are going to be BK, BK. So I have 2 blocks here that are connected to the top one. So there are 2 there. That makes these 3 also black pieces. Okay? BK, BK, BK. And I'm marking them as black pieces so that you know. So there's how that fits in there. Now, from that point forward, you have 4 more pieces that you have to fit. Okay? So this happens to be my black piece. Blue would be BL, so that would be blue. R is red. G is green. And Y is yellow. And I would have to create these 4 pieces while following the rules. Okay, so that's part of the deal with this, is you've got to follow the rules. And again, if we go back and look at the rules for this, for our first puzzle, 4 of my 5 pieces must be present in all 3 layers. So as I move forward and I start to do more of the drawing, let's say I want to tackle the red piece next. So my red piece, I'm going to make it like this. It's going to look something like this. So I'm going to say, okay, I want that to be red. I want that to be red. I want this to be red, and I want that to be red. All right, so the way that looks is it looks like this. So it has 2 pieces on top, okay, and then it goes down 3. So it looks something like that. Kind of tough to see that, but that's my red piece. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. That's going to be my red piece here, and then 1 here, and then 1 here. That meets the requirements of having this be in all 3 layers. And you just continue on until you have all of these filled up, and they'll automatically start creating your pieces for you as you go through the process. All right? So that's how this works out. So students usually use this as a starter piece. Okay, what you are not allowed to do. You are not allowed to copy other people's designs. You are not allowed to copy anything but this piece if you want to. The reason I start students off with this is it uses up a lot of blocks, right? It uses up 6 of those blocks out of the total that you can do. So let me go back and remind you of a few other things. Hand down, please. A few other things here. In addition to that, we have to follow some rules. So there's these rules here, but if we go into the actual design challenge, I want you to remind you of something. All right, so we're looking at this now. Each puzzle part must contain at least 4 and no more than 6 cubes per part. Everybody remember that? Okay, so while you're following the new rules about having pieces in each layer, you need to make sure that your puzzle parts are either 4, 5, or 6 pieces each. So there's a lot of rules here. You got to have 5 pieces in your puzzle, and those 5 pieces can only have 4, 5, or 6 cubes per piece. Not only that, but we also have to contend with this new challenge, which is that 4 of those should be going through all 3 layers. So there's a bit of work to do here. I would encourage you to check with me as you go through the process to make sure that you are following the rules for everything. If not, I can show you what you need to change, and hopefully you can just make some small alterations and move forward. You need this piece in order to do the inventor work. All right? So today's class, we're going to spend time doing this. Next class, I anticipate I'll be teaching some inventor to you and explaining how to create your created pieces in these layers. All right? So that's where I'm going to stop.